What about babies and the mentally handicapped? What happens to a miscarriage, a baby who's miscarried? What happens to aborted babies? What happens to those who are mentally handicapped and die, but they don't have the mental capacity to make a moral choice for the gospel? Now, you hear all kinds of different texts that are used for this, like, well, are they under the age of accountability? What's the age of accountability? 12. Where do you get that from? Well, Jesus went in the temple when he's 12. What? Well, David's son died, and he says, he can't come back to me, but I'm going to go to him. Well, maybe that's the case. Could mean that he goes to him in death. Don't know. But, I mean, that could be a potential text for that. A few years ago, I was looking in Deuteronomy, and I found an interesting text. The context is that the Israelites have come out of Egypt. They've come to the promised land. They send some spies into the promised land. And the spies come back, and most of them say, yep, it's just like God said. The land is flowing with milk and honey. It's beautiful. But the people who live there are giants. They will kill us. They will eat us alive. I mean, these guys are just, really, we can't do anything here. They will kill us. We can't take the land. Now, Joshua and Caleb says, yep, land flowing with milk and honey. These people are giants, but we got God on our side. We can win this. Well, the people are afraid, so they won't go in. God says, I had no plan B. So I guess if you don't want to go in, turn around and go back in the desert. And there you're going to be for 40 years. And here's what he says to them. The Lord God was angry with me also on your account, saying, not even you shall enter there. Joshua the son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall enter there. Encourage him, for he will cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, who you said would become a prey, and your sons, who this day have no knowledge of good or evil, they shall enter there. And I will give it to them, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn around and set out for the wilderness by the way to the Red Sea. In other words, God did not punish those little kids because they didn't know the difference between good and evil. He did not hold them morally accountable for moral decisions that they were incapable of making. We can look at this, and again, when it comes to babies and mentally handicapped, we have to speculate because there's no scriptures that really address this specifically. In this case, we have to look at biblical models. How did God act in a certain situation in the past that might give us clues to how he might act or answer or address this issue? And I think that if you're looking at this, when we talk about these, if they don't know, they can't discern between good and evil, and God didn't hold them accountable, perhaps when we're talking about babies, the mentally handicapped, and so forth, aborted babies, miscarriages, that's what we're looking at there.